Rudy Gobert came through, and it looked like to me like he tried to just stop Klay and just kind of like grabbed him. And but Draymond,
okay,
yeah.
Right here, and let's just take it from here. I think we're getting good stuff. Let's go.
Welcome to this week's episode of Talkin Athletics with MTJ. I'm your host, Mike Papp. I'm joined with Joe, who came back from his business trip.
Hey, how's it going?
Tom to my left, as you just heard or saw, depending on where you're watching or listening, or really whatever you're doing. But yeah, we were just in the all 5 of you. Thank you, Joe's parents. My mom, I think, watches sometimes.
Dal, we appreciate the clicks, Dal.
My friend Johnny, and anybody else who decided to watch today. Thanks for showing up. We love to have you. But we were just kind of in the middle. I was kind of trying to explain a little bit to Joe the whole circumstance with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson getting ejected from.
Yeah, because I was on a business trip.
Yes, from their that's what I said last week too.
He did. You said that.
I said yeah. It just felt
I think we said bowling.
Yeah, we
said bowling. I think we said bowling.
Yeah, but. I mean, that is business for you.
That is business.
Yeah, you mean business.
You could have been taking care of business bowling in Boston. Wow, look at all the bees.
True.
LeVar be proud.
Business bowlers in Boston. Yeah, the killer bees. So we were explaining to Joe during our last Warriors-Timberwolves contest, literally within the first 2 minutes of the game, the situation started to occur with Klay Thompson and I think it was Jalen McDaniels. I'm pretty sure Jalen is the one on the Timberwolves. You want to fact? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Because I said Jalen, I was explaining, but then after I was like, ooh, I don't really exactly remember which one it was, if it was Jalen or not. But anyways, one of the McDaniels, Tom will figure that out. Started as kind of coming down the court in a transition, started getting really chirpy with each other. Klay as Tom, I don't know if we started yet, really, the recording part. Jaden, thank you. Thank you. Sorry to Jalen.
Apologies.
Yeah. He's probably a good guy.
I know you're tuned in listening to us.
Yeah, right. This is my bad, man.
We apologize thoroughly.
I hope we, friend of the show. Anyway. So they started getting chirpy. Klay kind of did a little tug of McDaniels' jersey. McDaniels retaliated by trying to throw him. Klay didn't get thrown, but then tried to use that momentum to then throw McDaniels, which also was not successful. And then big man defensive anchor, Rudy Gobert came in and to me looked like he was trying to just grab Klay to stop the situation
from
escalating, and then all of a sudden off the top ropes Draymond Green comes scrolling through
with an RKO,
and just grabs Rudy Gobert immediately to do a choke out and starts dragging him away from the situation.
Yes.
And Rudy Gobert the entire time is putting his hands up like, yo, what is happening?
From behind. He has Rudy from behind in a chokehold.
Perfect.
It doesn't look like he's choking him. From what I saw in the video,
it looks like he is aggressively trying
choke,
to end
no, the choke is there. It looks like he's trying to drag him away.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It doesn't look like he's squeezing his head to pop it like a pimple is what I mean by not choking him. I'm sure he's being choked because he's being dragged by the neck away.
And he's tall, so he's being pulled down as well. So
I have zero issues with I shouldn't say with what Draymond did. I have zero issues with Draymond being the enforcer to meet the other enforcer to say, hey, you're not going to touch my guy. Yeah. Because Klay's not Steph, but he's a prized possession. Yeah. He's a paid piece of the Warriors. Part of Draymond's job, especially now that I would argue that Draymond's skill is declining.
Oh, absolutely.
His IQ and defense and passing still
there. But that's what I'm saying. This is part of the role that you have to take on.
I mean, you can say the same thing with Klay, too.
Agreed. But who's going to help them win more games from a putting points on the scoreboard?
Steph's the only person this whole season that scored over 20 on the Warriors.
Really? He hasn't put over 20?
No, he's the only person who has.
No, I'm saying Klay has.
Nobody else on the team has. But Klay is still that guy. I mean, he's still the Splash brother.
Has Poole?
Poole dropped like a 40.
That's right. I know he's on another team, but that's why I asked.
He dropped
because Poole was going to be the next guy, and he didn't get along with Draymond, and that's why he's not there.
I don't think he got along with any of them.
Don't you think though that Draymond should have slightly kept his cool? Because you guys told me he got ejected, and Steph Curry wasn't playing. So if you're trying to win games, he needs to be level-headed.
No, 100%. This was a Klay. Again, non-basketball guy here. Jaden McDaniels. I feel like if you mentioned what school he went to, I'd be like, okay, I remember him. But I don't. He's young, very young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a rookie, sophomore?
No, I have third
year,
third or fourth.
Yeah.
Let's look it up.
Fact check. Can you just look up his pedigree? Because I don't know. As a non-basketball fan,
right?
He's not a superstar in my mind, where I know who he is and like what he's done in his career.
But you know who Draymond is.
But I do, and that's because Draymond gets suspended at least
Washington.
5 times a year.
He was drafted in 2020.
Not not too familiar with the Washington Basketball Club, but he seems like an average NBA guy where if you can trade him, prototype. If you can trade him for Klay, that's a good trade to take them both out, let alone Klay and Draymond for him.
Right.
So from my perspective, McDaniels, that's a huge win.
Oh, he did his job. Yeah, he got.
Teams should be paying his fine, especially did they win? Who won?
They did win.
So teams should be paying that fine. Whatever NBA is coming down, who they even play? What teams do you play for?
Did you say so? Klay got ejected.
Timberwolves.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to talk about that too. So Steve Kerr came out today, and I actually totally agreed with him. I don't think Klay should have been ejected. I don't think McDaniel should have been ejected.
Agreed.
I think Draymond should have been ejected.
Well, yeah,
agreed. And the problem, I don't have any issue with what Draymond did.
Plus, Draymond
in terms of breaking up the fight and what he did as a circumstance. How he did it is what I've got the issue.
If he got him in the Nelson, he would have been fine.
He was late. Gobert beat him to the situation and
true.
got there first.
Yeah.
It took him a second to react. Him being late to the situation puts him behind him. How are you going to get Rudy Gobert, a big dude, off of him? You're doing whatever you can, and that just so happens to be, hey, I'm going to put you in a rear naked choke and pull.
Yeah, and also
that deserves to get tossed.
If this gets looked at by the NBA and they go back and decide what they want to do, I think honestly they should look at Rudy Gobert because
I think Rudy Gobert's going to get a fine.
Why are you grabbing Klay Thompson? Why are you not grabbing your teammate? Why are you that's the one thing where I'm like, this is Draymond did exactly what Draymond does. It's like what he does isn't entirely wrong, but why are you being so aggressive about it? That's like every time I've ever had Draymond's ever done something stupid, that's my thought. I'm like, I get where you're going, but come on, dude, relax.
I respect that though.
And he is emotional, and he saw his teammate getting what he thought to be choked out, so he went over there and tried to defuse the situation. I don't think what he did was right, but I get why he got there. You know what I mean?
He was, and if he is there before or at the same time as Rudy, this isn't even talked about.
And if Rudy doesn't,
old age is catching up even with Draymond.
If Rudy grabs his teammate instead of grabbing Draymond's teammate, I don't think Draymond racks the way he does. That's the only thing I'm like, what? But I also think he should have been ejected.
I don't see a world where Draymond goes and grabs Klay instead of. If Draymond was the first one there and the only one there, he's getting in Jaden's face.
Oh, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? So and I think it comes from a place of, hey, I am with you. I'm never against you. Yeah. I've got your back. Even if you're in the wrong, I've got your back. And that's where I can see it from that perspective of he's new to the Wolves this year, yeah?
No, he got drafted. By
No, not Jaden. Gobert.
Oh, Gobert, no.
Came last year.
Second year, yeah. I was going
to say that's where I knew he was with Utah for... Utah, is that right?
No, that was the monumental trade where so 3 firsts and 6 players.
But having your teammates back is I've got to go after the other dude. And Rudy wasn't doing anything that was going to hurt Klay. He had him in a bear hug.
My only rebuttal is...
Wasn't pushing him. It was a bear hug.
My only rebuttal to this is think about when you're running towards a scrum, like when you played back in the day. If you're running towards a scrum where the biggest guy on the other team has your star guy right now in what seems to be a headlock, you're going to react and approach that situation much differently than if that guy is grabbing his own teammate. You're going to, you know what I mean?
No, agree. And that's what I completely understand.
He agrees, but he already knows there's no situation where Draymond actually doesn't go and grab Gobert.
That's what I'm saying. I can't see a situation can you see an enforcer? Who's an NBA enforcer that goes and
grabs their own
gets their own teammate instead of getting the other guy? You know what I mean?
Not right in this day and age.
That's just the way.
League.
Really?
The scrum. There was two breakouts the last
That's right,
2 days,
I don't watch, so
which was monumental. The Malice and the Pals is the biggest one in history. And if you think between then and now and then, I could probably think of
how about the guy that went through his teammates to try to get to LeBron?
Yeah, Isaiah Stewart. Did you see that? That was last year. They started getting into it, and
he was bleeding too. Yeah, just.
Isaiah Stewart may be the strongest man in the world because he could not be stopped. It was he fought through 90% of
his just own team and then the other team.
And then they just barely stopped him.
Was anybody on the other team trying to get at him?
No, everybody was trying to stop him. And there was a few guys on LeBron hey, relax, and he's okay, I'll relax, but Isaiah Stewart was it was like his life depended on making it to the other side of that group of people. It was wild.
He needed a first down.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. But that's where I think it is very situational to have in NBA to have two guys that are both trying to go at each other.
Yeah.
To have that situation come up to where we can be like, oh yeah, this is definitely how one side handles the other. But then again, like I said, don't watch. You guys watch way more than I do, so I'm taking your word for that. That is how the rest of the league does it. You know what I mean? But that's just where in my head, that's how I would view it.
It's just really hard with how easy it is to get texts these days.
Going back to it.
But what were you gonna say, Joe? Because I want to.
Was it Draymond? Someone put like Karl Anthony Towns in a chokehold like a couple of years ago and actually made him tap.
And that's where I think that might have been Draymond, and that's why I think that,
well.
and I think that's where Draymond might be getting a big suspension.
Yeah, because
coming from this
against the same team too. Like,
let me see because
he's got that history.
Sportingnews.com. That's going to be our news source. That's going to be our news source. No one else goes to them for their sports news. I do.
Honestly, the biggest takeaway I had from this whole debacle was you played 46 and a quarter minutes against a team that is kind of struggling, that didn't have their three best players, and you only beat them by 3 points. The Timberwolves are still not good. I'm sorry. They're still not good. They have 1 and a quarter and 1.5 people who are really good. They have Anthony Edwards, who is on pace to be in MVP contention. It's really early, so you never know. But other than that, you have Karl Anthony Towns, who
doesn't fit their
he just can't
anymore.
He's just not I don't know, it's weird. He's like just a solid B guy. Like he's supposed to be an A+ on the team, but he's like a solid B sometimes.
He's supposed to be the face of the franchise.
Exactly.
And as the years have gone on, I mean, now it's becoming like Anthony Edwards, and like I said, now they're using Gobert, and just the way the NBA has evolved, can't really have two big guys out there, and the Timberwolves are trying to, and it's just like I feel like they're
trying to force him into a 4.
Yeah. I would love to like just see the plus or minus when only one of them are like on the floor. I don't think they're that good when they're both on the floor.
I mean, his lack of leadership is why Jimmy wanted out. Like he literally dominated their number one squad with bums as the NBA is concerned. But for us, they'd smoke us. But
to Karl Anthony Towns' defense, maybe he just doesn't have that personality, and maybe Jimmy should have just stepped up. I mean, KD.
I think he tried.
Basketball, and
they didn't like each other before he even went there.
So.
I also think Jimmy tried, and the team wanted Cat to be the leader, so they wouldn't let him.
Well, Cat should have sat down and said, "Look, guys, this is very but I don't want to be the leader.
No,
I just want a ball like KD."
I think the biggest issue was that I think Jimmy and Cat had problems before Jimmy even signed paperwork, and I want to say it was one of the other teammates. I think we had talked about this before, like just hanging out. It was somebody else that was on that team when Jimmy was there that talked about Jimmy's first day being there. Everybody was there. Like the D-League guys were there.
That was what I was just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That was what I was just talking about.
Yeah, no, dude, they didn't like each other before, and he said that he would go into it at a different date, and of course I never dug deep enough to find the story that goes back into it, but they didn't like each other before, and Jimmy is a very in-your-face person.
Oh, yeah.
And as a teammate, and you either respond to it or you don't. Miami's found a way to respond to it, and they've had Cap for a handful of years before that, and he's much more of a mellow leader, like you said, but he's also a guy that I would say I don't think he gets it done when the chips are on the table.
Another big issue I've had with lack of leadership, and me and Tom have really kind of tag teamed on this for a while. Jason Tatum, we have felt is not a leader. You finally got to see him firsthand this weekend, Joe. Tell us about your experience.
Yes, my business trip was down to Boston. It was awesome. I loved it. It was incredible. I was actually lucky enough to sit next to 2 season ticket holders, so it was really cool. They've been to every game and everything. And
we apologize to those poor souls. Joe's only there one time.
Yeah,
yeah, true. They got 81 other games.
I'm kidding.
So it was great. I just would like to say, seeing the Celtics live, like, TV does not do its justice, like, to the team, because you watch the game and you go, oh, yeah, Jason Tatum is clearly the best player on the team, but, Jaylen Brown, he gets out of control, but he is a good player. You go there live and you're like, no, Jason Tatum is not barely or, like, oh yeah, clearly better. He is miles upon miles upon miles better than Jaylen Brown. Like,
and he played good that game too.
Oh my gosh, I literally turned to my friend Anthony, and I'm just like, if we don't win a championship with Jason Tatum, it is just such a huge letdown. Like, I'm not talking about this year, but just
in his career,
sometime in the future, because as soon as he touches the ball, like, the whole crowd just feels like, okay, he's gonna do that move. He's gonna do the little Kobe like one-on-one move kind of and fade away and make it. And every single time,
his faders were hitting too.
You could feel it in the crowd.
He was shooting well.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. And Kristaps Porzingis played really good. He was shooting really deep threes again. You see him on TV and you're just like, oh, they're 3 or 4 steps beyond the arc, and it's like, no, he's like 5 or 6 and just throwing them. But anyway, to kind of get back to the season ticket holders that I was sitting next to, I kind of looked up at the TV and was like, hey, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps, they all had like 18 points at one moment. Like, they all 3 of them, 18 points. And I was like, oh man, Brown's doing good. And the people right next to me just said, well, it's a good thing they don't show turnovers on the big stage.
Wow.
So Jaylen Brown definitely would be leading them right now. And I just sat there, and I don't want to hate on Jaylen Brown again. I love the Celtics. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But
I feel like we got a lot of video evidence. I feel like most of it's published. The hate that you have for Jaylen Brown in last playoffs.
It's coming from a disappointment.
That's fair. That's fair.
Again,
and not understanding the contract. That's fair. 100%.
He just, the best way to describe it, especially now seeing it live, is remember when we were all a little bit shorter, and then all of a sudden we all had growth spurts, and all of a sudden we weren't as coordinated because all of a sudden we got an extra 6 inches of height or 4 or 5 inches, and we're just,
I know what you're speaking
what's
about.
What's going on? Like,
Never really went through the growth spurt, but I was gonna say, as the giant of us is like, yeah, guys, you remember that time?
I will say though, I grew 6 inches, but it was over 4 years.
So
yeah, right. Like
I was 5'2" in ninth grade. I walked out at 5'10".
I think I might have had a 2-inch year one year. Like, that was a big year.
I had the voice drop year. That was a big one. Coming back
remember
from summer,
that.
I had a voice drop.
I remember
year.
your voice drop. Yeah, your voice drop was crazy.
But that's exactly how Jaylen Brown literally plays, where he's like, oh, I just had a 6-inch growth spurt and I'm not as coordinated. Like, my mind knows what it wants to do, but my body is just out of control.
But then other times he is coordinated and it's weird.
Yeah, it's really weird, but
like, you shouldn't be able to jump out of the gym like that and be considered uncoordinated.
Yeah.
But I get exactly what you're saying when he's got the ball and he's driving. It's like,
he's like,
I forgot how to
do
dribble
this, and it's just like, oh, my mind's telling me I gotta go this way, but the ball's all the way back here. And like, he tried to. Like, he got the ball back, like, off of an
that putback attempt,
and tried to do a huge dunk. And let me tell you what, you probably could not hear it on TV, but jeez, the words that came out of people's mouths when he missed it, they were just.
Now, when you say words, I'm just curious, knowing the stereotype around Boston. I'm just curious, knowing the stereotype around Boston crowds, Joe. Was it racial that was coming out? Like, it's just, I know that's usually not towards their own, but they've just, the Boston crowd and fan base has a reputation of being very racial.
How was the crowd and the atmosphere there?
Atmosphere was pretty good. I think, again, because they're a division rival and we see them very often, we don't try to be. They didn't seem to be too hostile because you don't want any fights going on, especially when the Knicks and Celtics
I feel like
play
those are the
each
people
other
that I want to get hostile with. Is like, you're coming back. You've got to see me again. Remember this face. Because not only do you play the Celtics, you've got to deal with my annoying ass, too. You know? Like, that's kind of something. That's when I'd be like, let's turn it up.
But they definitely seemed, myself included, kind of was more upset with the refs with some of the calls. And my friend that was sitting next to me, and they're like, what? He was cheering for the Knicks. I was cheering for the Celtics.
Is Andrew a Knicks fan?
Anthony, yeah.
He's sorry.
He's a Knicks
fan. My apologies, Anthony.
That's why we went to the game.
I did not mean that.
I was going to say, back when the Knicks were good, they used to be a rivalry, but it hasn't been since, like, Ewing, right?
Melo.
Yeah.
Melo.
Met in the playoffs and the Celtics won.
I was going to say, would that really be a rivalry?
Yeah, not really.
Or is that more the Knicks more of a stepping stone for the big three?
That's kind of like, I kind of view that how I view Syracuse calling Clemson, or Duke Duke their rivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a stepping
Yeah,
stone.
no.
Yeah, that's like a self-imposed
That's a one-way rivalry,
yeah.
and that is the most embarrassing part about the Syracuse fan base at the moment. But we'll get to that later.
I will say though, like at the end of the game, there was some like racial things that were said when the Knicks players were like being taken off the court.
That's
but again,
sad.
But again,
it
it
is
was
sad,
more
but that's
like
what I
two
from
or
everything
three
you
people
hear.
who
It's
you're
what you
hearing
expect,
from,
unfortunately.
like all the way up in the nosebleed. So it's kind of just like, but because I even looked at my friend Anthony, I was like, who said that? Who are they yelling at? And they're like the Knicks players that are going off the court.
That's
like,
sad.
Ouch. But it was, like I said, other than that,
The audacity to just scream it like that from the nosebleeds too. Just be like everyone.
Well,
will
is that
hear this.
audacity or is that more like cowardness? Because you're so far away, they don't even know who yelled it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, somebody, anybody, like could turn around. Like everybody in
True.
your general vicinity.
And it's hard to get
No.
out of the nosebleeds. That's a good point.
Dude, you've got to get down a lot of
Yeah,
stairs.
that's
Like
true.
you're trapped.
That is a good
So
point.
like that's whew. Just all around the idea of saying it in general, the idea of yelling it so everybody
Yeah,
around you
that's
knows that it was
crazy.
you. Wild.
So how was the overall experience of
Yeah,
your, not only
1 to
your
10.
first, it was your first NBA game,
Yeah, it was
right?
first ever NBA
1
game.
to
it was-
10. I need a professional rating.
9.
That's
1
such a
out of
rookie
10.
number.
What?
That's
1
such a
out of
rookie
10.
score. Like, come on. Like, I need some decimals in there. 9 point. If 9.0 is 9.0 is fine. Like, if that's the score, like, come
I'll
on.
go with 9.2.
9.2, okay.
Go with 9.2.
What keeps it from being a 10?
Ironically, what keeps it from being a 10 is I went to the concession stands and I got a popcorn bucket, and then they were like, "Oh, do you need a drink with that?" And I said, "Sure." And I showed him my ID, and he was like, "Oh, buddy, I'm gonna need another form of ID because it was an out of state,
That's fair.
driver's license." And then I gave him a second form of ID, and he was just like, "I'm gonna need another." And I'm like,
What was
"How
the second
many
form of ID?
freaking IDs do you need?"
Timeout was the second form of ID.
credit card.
Okay.
And then my
That's
third
fair.
one was a credit card again. I was
That's
just
fair.
like,
Yeah,
what am I
That's
doing
fair.
here?
I guess.
The
yeah,
wild part is you don't
I've never
look,
been asked for a second if I've given a credit card. Credit card seems like a very.
It was like, but
Unless it was like what kind of credit card? You got a brand?
yeah, it's MasterCard.
Yeah, no, then that's completely reasonable. Like, it's the only thing I can see if like if it
Or
was
no,
some
Visa.
like
I think it's a Visa.
well, like if it was some weird
like a Cash App card. type of
yeah,
thing.
like something like something weird like that.
Like
a
a
crypto
Best Buy.
card,
Yeah,
like
crypto
like
card,
a
yeah.
crypto connected card. Then I'd be like, okay, yeah, I do need to see one more.
But yeah, and then I wanted really like a actual
Can I
Mm-hmm.
big.
cut in for a sec?
Yeah.
That's wild that you get ID'd that heavily because in my opinion, you look the oldest out of us.
Yeah.
three.
Well,
I mean, I get ID'd for everything,
Well-
but that's kind of like the price you pay.
Hey, let me
Dude,
tell you what.
you can
Anthony
grow
only had to
facial hair.
present
True,
one
yeah.
form of ID,
Baby-faced.
and it was fine.
What'd you say?
Anthony only had to present one form of ID, and it was.
And it was a
fine.
New York license?
Yeah, well, but that was
that's
the thing.
just- he was next in line?
No, he got it at a different concession
Oh.
stand. But to his
Oh.
point, he said he was wearing a Knicks jersey, so that's probably
Makes more
why.
sense.
And then Knicks jersey and
Oh.
New York license.
Yeah.
Where me, they're like, okay, this is probably a fake. He's literally wearing Celtic
Yeah.
gear, and then it's like when you give him like two other forms of ID.
But
it's
still,
just
with the
like-
New York license,
It's not
it
that
was
far.
it's not far, and it was never the fake. Like it was.
Oh, yeah,
like
New
to
York
make
license is
to
never
make
a
a
fake.
like even when you were getting fakes back in college.
Never got one.
I know, yeah, because you went to college, after
I did the Air
military.
Force first, yeah.
But
It was like Rhode
New,
Island,
yeah,
Delaware,
New York. There are
Pennsylvania.
certain states that have way easier codes
Connecticut.
to break to make this look like it's legit. New York has never been one of those states because our ID is
Good for us.
always been complicated. Well, think about it. That's everything that we do with our legislative system.
Yeah.
Everything is just too complicated.
Well, I will say not always. It's been probably 30 years because
That's fair. I mean, yeah,
my
probably
parents
back in the
did
day.
say way back in the way you could etch something and change a number. And it
Yeah,
was
no,
legit.
way back in the day.
Because it never had
Oh,
the under 21. It never had like that under 21.
That's altering an actual ID
Yeah.
though. That's different than
A lot of
than
people-
getting a fake ID is what I'm
Right.
saying. So that's
But-
altering an ID, and that's different story. Where I know kids that did it that were our age to get chewing tobacco before they were what 18?
18.
Yeah, they were 16.
Those poor
and, yeah,
kids, man.
But yeah,
I think it
Oh
was,
yeah, because we were
You could turn.
Yeah,
If you did it right, you could get underneath the plastic just to the area where it didn't look like you were underneath it, and just make. I can't even remember what it was.
you turn the 6 to an 8.
Was it a 6 to an 8?
No,
No, because that would make you younger. So that's why
I
I was
don't
like,
know.
I think you took a 4 and made it a 9.
oh, that would make sense.
Something around. maybe I don't know, but it was clever, and it really like it was before all IDs were scanned for everything, so they would just check the date of birth.
True, yeah.
You were good to go. So it was wild. Yeah, I did not have that opportunity with the 1995 being the birth date. Nothing to really change.
Mine
wasn't me.
Yeah.
I'm innocent.
I never did it.
Oh, really, Joe? You wasn't you?
Wasn't me.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
But also going with
I highly doubt that he goes.
Thank you. I was gonna say everybody was acting like it was a possibility that Joe could have done that to buy anything back in the day. You wouldn't have been the person to do that at all. Even if
I
you
just
could
was
have
never a
done
big
that.
drinker, so I never really had to worry about buying alcohol.
I mean, that was just in college. Your first 2 years. What was it?
You just go to
Year
house
and a
parties.
half.
I don't.
Well, that's where I mean.
Yeah, that's true too.
House parties, but I think it was $60, and I had a New Jersey ID
Nice.
that scanned.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
So someone had a fake over here.
it was good. It
intense.
was a good one, but New York wasn't even an option to get. Not even being in the state of New York, but I don't think it was through whoever company, whatever it was. I was just part of the 30 people that they got to do it, so they got a free one. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, no, it wasn't New York. New York could not. How do we even get here?
Because
I don't know.
I was
Oh,
saying,
Joe got ID'd
so
like
I got-
5 times to get a drink. That's how that dropped it down.
Wanted like a kind of like a big store in the actual like TD Garden. Like once you actually got through the tickets, it was more like just little like pop-up stands where you could get merch. I wanted like an actual store. They did have an actual store, but it's actually under TD Garden because I didn't know if you guys knew this, but TD Garden's actually like a train station.
I did not know that.
I did not know
Yeah.
that. So it's kind of like Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium's a train station?
Yeah, there's a stop. I'm pretty sure right by Yankee Stadium.
But
Like,
yeah,
right
it's like,
outside of Yankee Stadium.
it's like
if
an
not,
actual
like
main
connected.
hub. So you like
I'm gonna fact
get
check that.
up from the train station and then
Just right into the building?
more or less, yeah. I mean, they because like I said, maybe it's not really like best to say that it's like a train station, but I'm sure if you went down a tunnel or something, because the way Anthony and I always operated, we always would get out of the train station and just get onto a street to figure out where we were. But I mean, we just got up and all suddenly it's like you just look across the street and it's TD Garden. But I feel like there was probably a way to go through the station to actually get there, because when we were in TD Garden, there was things that said like all passengers trains this way and stuff like that. So
Doesn't beat Yankee Stadium. We got a subway and a train system, connected to the Yankee Stadium. So beat that, Joe. New York rules.
That's genius to do,
I did-
though, with how much traveling you have to do via railway and bus.
Oh, for
and-
Yankee Stadium,
yeah,
that's
in
where,
New
and that's where, and I'm sure that they're not directly connected. Looking at the map, but both of their addresses are east or west Yankee Stadium.
But yeah, and then the game itself was great. The Celtics started to pull away there at the end. Tatum just started hitting threes like crazy. That was an awesome experience. I walked around the building to get a good picture of all the banners, even though I've been alive to only see one of them.
Hey, but that's still
Yeah.
Hey, more than a lot of people.
Happy that you had a great time, man.
Yeah, I had a barbecue chicken mac and cheese. That was
Ooh,
really good.
that actually
versus pulled
sounds-
pork. 'Cause,
I don't know if I'd want this. Was that just while you were in Boston, or was that during the game?
we got there an hour before the game started. So
Gotcha. So it was kind of before the game.
So
That
yeah,
sounds more doable. I was like,
we
I don't know
got
if I could eat that while I'm watching an NBA game. That would be tough.
Yeah,
I'd
because I
love
wanted
it.
to get there as soon as the gates open, so I could go look around everything and get a picture of the banners.
awesome.
And eat
It's never a
and stuff.
bad time for mac and cheese.
So it was a lot of fun. Got like
Unless
I
you're
said, a
lactose
popcorn
intolerant.
bucket. Got a popcorn bucket. It was great. I have just a ton of Celtic stuff now that just went straight.
Dude,
into my
pretty quality
closet.
popcorn bucket. I feel like it must be. You've mentioned it like 4 times.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, it
so.
was for $16. So it was
Wow.
quality.
Was you got
Was
to keep
that
the
a
bucket?
Was it a bucket or
Yeah,
a dumpster?
No, it was like the collectible bucket. Yeah,
Yeah.
it had
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the Celtic
okay.
stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes it way more
Yeah, it
sense.
makes more sense.
Yeah. So it was awesome. Julius Randle complained a lot. That was funny. So my friend
He's
Anthony
struggling.
next to me just was getting frustrated with Julius Randle because like
He's-
I tell you, Thibodeau looks like he's gonna have a heart attack anytime Randle just even looks at the ref.
Yeah, he's struggling this year. It's been like 4-11, 5-15. Like I saw this meme where it showed all of his shooting makes for attempts of the whole season, and somebody said it looks like he's going on tour because it was 5-12, 4-11, 3-15. Like, it was bad.
But it's funny you should say that,
That's
though,
not
because
good. No, that's not good.
Because Anthony and I were kind of talking about Jaylen Brown and Julius Randle, because Jaylen Brown turns over the ball a lot, or Julius, like, they're both kind of like black holes where you get the ball and it's not coming out, but at least Julius doesn't really, like, turn it over.
Yeah.
Where Brown does.
What do you want for Brown's future with the team?
What do I want?
It's a little early, so relax. Don't get too extreme.
You guys are locked into a supermax, aren't you? So
Yeah.
we got a while for you to
5
ponder
years.
this, but
That's wild. I still can't believe it.
Like I said, with just being there and seeing how much better Tatum is, if we continue to have depth problems, I don't know if you could move that contract.
I think you could.
Not this year, but maybe in 2 to 3 years. Cause
The Warriors moved Jordan Poole's contract.
yeah, no, I think
You can move his.
it'd be an easy it's just I feel like the time to move him would be the trade deadline, and you guys aren't going to be sellers, or you shouldn't be.
No, yeah, we'll be buyers.
You should not, and that's where it's tough to get rid of a piece like Jaylen Brown when you're making.
I'm not getting rid of him this year. If anything, I'm getting rid of him during an
I'm not
offseason.
talking this year.
And plus, there's a buyout market. So the Celtics' lack of depth right now, I mean, we'll for once actually be like the Miami Heat or the Spurs, where all suddenly people are getting bought out and they're going to want to come play for the Celtics.
True.
Because we really don't have a lot of depth, so you'll be able to crack their rotation easy. And if you're a somewhat halfway decent veteran who's trying to ring chase.
What's Deese's first name?
Who?
Deese. He just got dropped today and then immediately picked up.
Dees?
Deese.
These nuts? These nuts? It's D's nuts, Mikey.
Thies.
These.
I'm gonna look it up. What is his first name?
Yeah, I just wish Jaylen Brown would, again, just being there and kind of feeling the frustration of him going like left and turning the ball over. I'm wondering if some of Jaylen Brown's issues has become a little more mental, where it's just like if he makes one turnover, he's going to feel it and hear it from the crowd. Because, I mean, like I said,
were they on him?
Yeah.
That's tough when you're at home.
Yeah.
It's the Trey Turner effect, baby.
Well, I mean, it just, like I said, sitting next to season ticket holders, after
They're there.
the very
you get sick of it.
The very first turnover, they literally just looked at me and said, every time he can't go left. It got so bad that Anthony even said, like, oh my gosh, you don't even have to defend Jaylen Brown. Just push him left and he'll turn it over himself.
Yeah. It was weird how, like, I mean, we were preaching it since last year's playoffs, and but nobody talked about it, and all of a sudden,
now,
everyone's just now realizing,
because he's got all that money.
Yeah, it's true. A lot more eyes on you when you're that high.
When you were the highest paid, not Steph Curry, not Jason Tatum, not LeBron James, but Jaylen Brown is the highest paid NBA player.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that.
I mean, he just cannot go left. I mean, I would love you said, like, where do you want him in 5 years? I want him to actually, go to a little, like, league basketball camp and learn how to dribble with his left. Like, is that too much to ask? Like, I feel like he has a personal trainer, right? Like,
well,
somebody who can't dribble with his left, that is a lot to ask, Like, at his level, I can't dribble better than him, so I have no place to talk.
Did you see I was kind of from the angle, but he went up to do like a left-handed layup, and he already struggles going with his left, and he kind of like went and like did this, and just like clonked up backward. The whole crowd.
That sounds like something I'd do. That sounds like something I'd do.
I was thinking earlier today, another team that is technically perceived to be better than they really are is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, as you know, I was on a business trip. And
you were.
So, my favorite team apparently lost to your favorite team. So it was a good week for me to not watch football.
Yeah, and it was a game-sealing interception at the end. 20 what was it 20, 22, 23, 20?
When I say I literally do not watch
I
football.
have to look again. But that's not the point. Anyways, yes, they did take on the Packers and win.
23-19.
23-19, thank you.
I'm here.
Well, but that was the thing. We had a missed point after attempt.
Well, I wasn't even talking about the game really at all. But we couldn't if you want. What I was going to talk about is the fact
fight afterwards.
that they're 6. No, I'm not even talking about the game at all. The fact that the Steelers are 6-3, and in a pretty solid spot for a playoff spot right now. But since
Wow, it's
2000,
almost like that's the best division.
since 2000, it's not, because they're somehow in second, and they are the worst team bottom 5 in football, statistically.
Record begs to differ.
What?
The record begs to differ.
I was trying to get into that, but you keep interrupting me. But since
Guy misses a week, thinks he can run the show.
Since 9/27/2020, the Steelers have not had a single game where they have had over 400 offensive yards.
What year?
53 games in a row, 9/27/20. It is over 3 years.
You probably watched that game.
53, I probably did.
So Big Ben was at the helm.
And Big Ben was at the helm. And that was...
Who's the OC?
Matt Canada now.
I think it was still Holiday. I think
like
it was
I'm
still
saying
Holiday.
back when it was
I think
good.
it was still Holiday.
That's where I'm...
I don't remember that.
I just don't
I
know
remember
how
when we got
long
Canada.
you can... Like, that's the only thing with Tomlin I don't love. The guy consistently wins. With all of that going on, never been below 500.
Yep.
Like, and that goes to the defense. The defense always puts on, like... I don't remember the last year... or the last
The
year
Killer
that...
Bees. That's why I think Tomlin's even better, because when we had the Killer Bees, when we had Ben, Brown, and Bell, our defenses were really bad, but we still were winning and making it to the playoffs. That's why I think Tomlin's actually really good, because he's shown that he can do it with only defense and only offense.
Were those defenses bad?
Yeah. Yeah, they were not very good.
I don't remember a Troy Polamalu secondary being a secondary you wanted to pass on.
Well, the Killer Bees, that was after Troy.
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah, I think he retired in 15.
Troy definitely wore those unis, yeah?
Yeah, I think.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
he
Well,
did.
yeah,
That's
it's a
where the-
throwback. Yeah, it's like a throwback.
No,
yeah.
I think he was right before the Killer Bees really cemented themselves as probably the best trio in football. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
At that point, I'm not saying they were ever or forever, but I mean at that point,
They were
probably the best combination of a running back, wide receiver, and they had the best running back, the best wide receiver, and a top 5 quarterback.
Winning, I would say... No, I wouldn't... In recent history, yes.
No, I mean of his time in that
Oh, in that time?
year. That year,
Yeah.
he would be a top
Yeah.
5 quarterback. Like
Yeah,
that season,
no, I'm
they
there
were like a
with you.
top 3,
I'm there with you.
a top group.
That's where I was
So,
like,
that's
we're
why-
talking Aikman.
No, I'm not
Emmett,
saying ever. No,
and,
no.
that's where I was
no,
like,
yeah, they didn't even
holy
win a
crap.
Super Bowl. They can't be in that conversation.
I know, which is just stupid.
It's
But
crazy.
those are 3
But
names.
because the defenses were that bad. Like we had really bad defenses at that, or the Steelers had really bad defenses at that time,
But-
and that was when it started to look like it was getting better, because we had Shazier, we had Bud Dupree, we had a little bit, we had that kind of,
Shazier got hurt.
and then Shazier got hurt, and then Bud Dupree left, but we had that defensive
I feel like
line.
it's a disservice to say that he got hurt. Like, yeah,
His-
the man was paralyzed.
We could have potentially missed out on maybe a top 15 linebacker of all
Hey,
time.
like you said, man, the best ability is availability.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh.
It sucks.
Taking last week and turning it around. But
He
no,
was-
no, I don't want to put that on Ryan Shazier. He seems like a very nice guy from everything that I've seen him on TV, and the fact that he's even
Able to
walking
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
I
So-
was so bummed out when that happened, because when you don't have a favorite player on your favorite team, it feels like a piece of it's missing. And Shazier was becoming that favorite player. And I had never had a favorite player before Troy
Really?
Polamalu or after. So I was really a very, very big fan of Ryan Shazier.
That's
And
interesting to hear you say, just because I feel like a lot of people's favorite player, most of them aren't going, like I'd say a large percentage of people aren't going defense.
I love
You know
a
what I
good
mean?
defense.
Like, I feel like they're going
Well,
quarterback 9 times.
I
not
feel
9
like
times
so
out of
much
10.
more is
There's
needed on
certain
it.
Quarterback,
players that
running
you
back, wide receiver,
gravitate towards, though.
Yeah,
tight end,
that's
and
true.
then
I mean,
agreed.
Troy. I mean, you're telling me people didn't like Charles
Yeah, those are
Woodson,
two very
like-
fair people to go
Agreed.
with, though, I guess. But no, I mean, I think the reason I'm such a defensive guy is because outside of the quarterback, I think more is asked from any single defensive player than an offensive position. Like your cornerback, you have to do so much more than a wide receiver really does. Wide receiver, you have to be a really good route runner and have really good hands. Cornerback, you have to know how to stop every route in the
That's
tree.
where I would say it's positional, very, very positional with everything there. Where corner, I would say, is you're on, like, a lot of times you're on your own.
Yeah.
Like if
And
you're
one
running, if
mistake,
you're running man coverage and
touchdown.
you're out there,
One
It's-
mistake,
yeah, it's-
or
it's
you
you.
guess the wrong route.
You
Like,
make a
I
mi-
think he's doing this route, and it's.
You make a mistake as a wide receiver, oh,
but there's
I'll
times you
try
get
to do it
bailed
again.
out. There's times that quarterbacks don't see the wide receiver that
Or
Yeah.
the wide receiver
dusted
drops
you
it.
at
Yeah.
the line of scrimmage.
True.
So there's times that you get bailed out that way where that's where as an O-lineman, it's really one job of, hey, open the
Not
hole,
taking anything
open the
away
hole,
from
or
it, though.
don't let anybody in. And that's where I'm just trying to
Very
figure out-
hard thing to do. I will not say it's not. But I feel like less is asked because you have. There's a lot to it, but there's less
I
requirements.
just feel like I was really looking for a way to avoid saying quarterback, but I mean, it definitely is quarterback.
No, I was supposed to say outside of quarterback.
Oh, okay, yeah, outside of quarterback.
But it's
yeah,
definitely quarterback. I agree with that.
yeah.
Because
No,
you
it's
are running the entire offense. You're in charge of 11 different people. And
just
the,
so
and
much
the
stuff
possession.
you have to know.
Yeah.
Like,
And everything you have to know about the defense.
do you mind if I segue us into you know, just with that said, that's going to bring me to the man of the past 2 weeks, the astronaut himself.
Yes.
I can't even think of his first name.
Josh
It was
Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs. I don't know. I was going Anthony. Is there an Anthony Dobbs?
I don't think
I
so.
don't know, but yeah, no.
There
Josh
could be.
Dobbs is
Hey, Anthony.
crazy.
Dobbs. Not
Well,
Joe's
he was
friend.
good. He was good last week. And I'm saying last week is not in this most recent.
I'd
so
say
2
more
weeks ago.
impressive 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Yeah,
ago,
because he didn't know the playbook.
but that
He
just
didn't
goes-
even know the center.
It was essentially a Madden game where the coach the coach is in your ear until there's 15 seconds left on the play clock. So he's getting the play called, telling it to the team as fast as possible.
Hopefully
so
he's
that
getting
way
it right.
they can get into a formation. He can see the formation, and the coach can tell him, guy on the far right, he's going to be doing a fly. Guy on the inside doing a post. You know, and he's literally calling out these formations like he's about to play Madden.
Yeah.
And like, hey, this is what you're going to look for. If this guy does this, you're going to do that. And I can only imagine a handful of times that game being like, hey, this is what I want you to do. If this guy breaks downfield, you need to
Yeah.
13, 12.
Yeah.
And you're like, do what? If he does that, do what? And then you're on your own. And then for him to only have a week with the playbook, guy's an astrophysicist again.
Yes.
So studying, never been an issue for the
Intelligent
guys. I think he graduated like a 3.8 or 3.9 from Tennessee.
I don't care where you graduate. If you are a scientist,
Oh,
you
I'm
know
just
how
saying
to
the
study.
quality of football, the emphasis that was put on football.
True.
It wasn't like this was, no offense, I'm not taking any shots at the D2 guys or the even the D1 FCS guys, FBSs, yep, FCS guys. It's different.
You're
when
more
it's a
focused on
different
football.
atmosphere when you're an SEC caliber,
In the South.
and they were good. Like that was during Tennessee's starting to tune up that offense, and to see him doing all of this and to know the backstory, I didn't know any of that when he was
Yeah.
at Tennessee. So it's crazy. I'm a huge fan.
The backstory everywhere.
If the Giants could sign him, I'd be so grateful,
I was
forever
just gonna
grateful.
say, do you think there are certain teams right now that regret not going out and getting him? Like, oh, I don't know, the Jets.
Do you think there's teams that regret who had him and
No.
didn't even give him a chance?
No, I'm not against Zach Wilson yet.
I'm
I'm
not against him, but I'm not for him.
And to be honest, if I'm Aaron, I'm happy. Like if he can come back in the next
I don't know. If he
4
will,
weeks,
though.
and I don't know if he will. I'm not.
Yeah, did you
I
see
don't
he's,
think he
like,
will.
Trying to get back.
Oh,
in
yeah, he's
December.
been trying. He's been very vocal about it. But that O-line, like, you can't have a non-mobile quarterback back there. That O-line is not good.
No, they're
Well,
bad.
Dobbs is a little mobile. He scrambled and got a touchdown.
Agreed.
No, we're saying
And that's
it
where I don't
about
think the
Aaron,
Jets
though.
are. I think without Aaron, the Jets are aware that this isn't a win now situation anymore.
Got it.
They gotta
Aaron's
load that
trying to make.
lineup.
I think if they're smart, issue is they're still playing well. Their record's still decent, and
Are you
Buffalo's
saying,
doing
like,
a bunch
try
of
to have
favors.
them, like, tank to get
I'm not saying
better,
tank to get a better player. I'm saying that
It's unfortunate that
you
they're
know,
winning though. For
as
them.
an NFL team, when you're a contender for a Super Bowl or you're not. When you are when you're a Cinderella story, I feel like you're very much aware of, hey, we're the favorites or we're not. And as soon as Aaron went down, they went from being contenders, I wouldn't say favorites, but contenders to being
okay.
to being a quality NFL football
They
team
went
that
from-
might make the playoffs still.
They went from being contenders to everybody being surprised they're even at a 500 type of scenario.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
And I think this year has shown so much growth because when we saw Zach Wilson, the O-line wasn't great, and he was having to scramble around, but he was trying to do way too much. This year, he's keeping them in games. Like, this is a huge step of growth
The
for
defense
me
is so
on
good.
Zach Wilson. It's such a big benefit to have. But I'd say they're very comparable to the Steelers, just not the winning side of it. The defense is super strong,
yeah.
keeping them in games. Offense has been lackluster for years. It's just
Do you think
one
they
team
need
can
to,
get
like,
it done and one team can't at the
Yeah.
end of the day in the final 4 minutes, the witching hour.
That was a good poll.
Chris Harmon?
Yep.
Is that his name?
Chris. It's Hansen, but not Chris
Hansen.
Hansen.
It's not.
It's the other Hansen.
Yeah, it's the
Sunday night.
it's not Sunday. It's the NFL Red Zone.
NFL Red Zone.
Berman, there it is.
Alright.
Thank you, Joe. And I just banged
No,
the
no,
mic.
no, no, no. It's not.
Isn't it? No, that's Boom.
That's Boomer. It's Hansen, but I don't remember his first name.
Yeah, that may very. Oh, you know,
Look it
I'll
up. You
throw-
got your
I'll
phone up
throw it
right
in
now.
there. I was gonna say I'd edit it, but that's a lot of
My
work.
question though is about the Jets. Do you think they need to run the ball a little bit more? Because I know you just kind of were
They
talking
need a
about
better
the
O-line.
offensive line.
Delvin Cook thinks they need to run the ball more.
Delvin Cook needs more.
'Cause
Delvin
again-
Cook, they need to trade.
Yeah.
He's
Why
too-
did they sign him? They
Because
took a half a season away from him.
because
at the
they
least.
because they.
They wanted
They
Brees
could.
Hall to
Well, that
come
and-
back healthy.
I don't care.
Well, I think from what I have seen from Cook from the very few opportunities, and I get that that's not his style. He needs he needs a series at least to himself of being the feature back to get into a rhythm, so that way he can bust a 7 or 8 yard run here and there. And that's how he got to his numbers when he was with Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's not getting those looks now because
Got Brees Hall.
he's way better. He is way better, and I think from what we've seen, looking at who's a better number 2 back in that system, it's gonna bug me because I'm not gonna remember his name.
Oh, Michael Carter.
Michael Carter. I think
who
Michael
was just dropped today.
Yeah, I know, but
release?
I still think that Michael Carter looked better. I don't even know. I think they got another one that's in there. Michael Carter. Michael Carter might be the guy that I'm thinking of, but he's looked better in the number 2 role at times if he could hold on to the ball.
I'm gonna be honest. I zoned out for like a minute, so I don't know where we are in this conversation.
Talking about the
Jets
Jets
running
running the ball.
backs.
Oh, okay. I mean,
But
Brees
then
Hall's
that's where I
definitely-
just think Dalvin hasn't looked great at all being a number 2 without
Yeah.
getting into a rhythm.
I just because one of my
I'm just mad because I haven't been
not
fantasy.
favorite teams,
I
but
mean-
one of the teams I quite enjoyed watching when I was younger was actually the Houston Texans when they had Arian Foster, Matt Schaub, and Andre Johnson. Because to me, I was just like their offensive line was terrible, and all they would do is just run, and then do a play action and hit Andre Johnson for touchdowns. So anytime I see a team that has like a terrible offensive line but a good running back and a good wide receiver, I just automatically think, oh my gosh, just be the 2008 or whatever Texans and just run, and then play action. and
Yeah,
throw
but
it.
those 2008 play styles don't work now, and those 2008 Texans didn't actually do anything.
Well,
so.
they made the playoffs, and if
Okay.
well, but I'm just saying if
Oh, you mean for the Jets? Why? Yeah, but I don't want to make the playoffs if I'm the Jets. If
Well-
I'm a Jets owner, I do not want to make the playoffs.
No, you want to make the playoffs.
No, I don't.
You want to make the playoffs.
I don't.
especially
Tickets-
if all suddenly
Ticket
Aaron
sales.
Rodgers
It's
is
profitable.
back.
It's always profitable to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Always
it is
profitable.
always profitable. But if you
Always
can get a
profitable.
top 3 pick and pick a bona fide
They're
ticket
too late.
grabber,
They're too late for
So
that.
you don't want
They've
your
already won. It's too late
Steelers
for
to
that.
make the playoffs?
Huh?
You don't want the Steelers to make the playoffs?
I mean, I do, but I'm not. I'm coming at that aspect as a fan, not an owner. If I'm the owner, probably not.
Well, like
Well,
Tom
I do
said-
because Mike Tomlin. I want Mike Tomlin to go to the playoffs.
Like Tom said, the ownership, they always want to. I mean, in the winning times, they talk about how you need to make the playoffs, and like I said, to go in the black versus the red.
I'm gonna take us to left field, but I'm gonna tell everybody how we got us there.
Okay.
I went to look up the depth chart to see exactly what was going on with the who the third
Jets.
running back is now for the Jets. I saw it for a flash instant. It was not a name that I recognized. But I would just like you to see how my screen here is frozen. And I'll show the camera. I'll try to move it around.
What's going on?
It's frozen. Look at who's launched a new betting service.
Yeah, they have an Instagram app too.
It's ESPN Bet. The only thing I can select right now, though, is get started. That's not okay.
Wait, let me see.
Try to move around. Try to go anywhere. Did it take you away from anything? It leaves you right on the bet screen, right?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I just clicked on something else and
What'd you
went back to
click
it.
on?
I clicked on, I think, depth chart and then went back to roster again. Or vice versa.
It was on depth chart, but yeah, that's where. Oh, so it was just on the top where
yeah,
you
I
had to
just-
click off of it to click away from it. There wasn't an X or anything
Yeah.
though, which that to me seems awfully suspicious.
yeah.
Of hey, how do we make sure we get people to sign up for
Well-
our new app?
You know the Sports Nation Instagram app?
No.
Or Instagram page? Do you know
No.
that Sports Nation? You know Sports Nation?
I know.
right?
I know of
Sports
Sports
Well, they had
Nation.
an Instagram page. They rebranded it to
Oh, it's
ESPN
sports.
Bets.
Oh,
And a lot of the people actually were not happy. I saw it yesterday
Really,
because the
I don't
ESPN
like
Bets
that
came up
decision.
on my feed, and I was like, "What is this?" And I went and
Why?
looked at it, and the very first comment it was like something like, "Imagine changing from a really fun, like
yeah, they weren't like a betting
thing
focus
to this or something.
Yeah.
I butchered it, but they were not happy.
And polls.
Yeah, it was.
Sports
That's
Nation was
a
cool,
terrible decision because they have a show called ESPN Daily Wager. That is on ESPN Daily. I don't know if they have an Instagram for it.
Yeah,
I would
but
imagine they probably do. 'Cause
the
every
amount
show
of
has an
money they're going to
Instagram.
make through that betting app is going to
agreed.
absolutely destroy whatever Sports Nation had.
But why not just have both?
Agreed. Yeah, but why? Like, yeah, why would you? I don't know. Hold on. That's where I'm.
Maybe
gonna see if
Sports
Daily,
Nation
if
may
Daily
not have been
Wager-
making them any money.
That
if
could
you're-
be as
That's
well.
true because they used to be a show. and
That's
they're
right.
not
Like
a
I said,
show
I
anymore.
wasn't a follower.
The
not
show
on
was
there.
awesome.
I love the show.
Yeah, but that was when Max Kellerman and what was the girl's name? Dang, I remember her face. I liked them two together.
And you had Marcus Whaley as well, or however.
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I do know who you're talking about. I don't
Yeah,
remember his
the big
name.
guy.
Though.
He used to be a football player.
Yeah, it was
Um,
Marcus something.
Just to give us little props while I just popped into my brain here. Last week, good on us for saying the Bills are terrible.
Yeah.
Bills
Also,
Bills
yeah.
overrated. We also said I don't think you disagreed. Dolphins extremely overrated.
I
Yeah,
do
they're
disagree
a
with
little
that.
Overrated,
I
yeah.
don't think they're extremely overrated.
That's right. I mean,
Not extremely, but a little.
I think they're an above average football team at best, where they can't beat the good teams.
Right.
And Buffalo. They can't beat the good teams
Or
or Buffalo.
We
That
def-
is how I'm phrasing that now, because Buffalo I don't know if is a good team anymore.
I remember this the conversation now. We definitely.
It was
I
their
agree
record
that
against above 500
what I-
teams is terrible.
what I brought
don't think
up
they have a win.
was the concussion to Tua may have masked this underlying issue that nobody's realized until now that Tua's healthy. Because like
That was
last
exactly-
year they were so back and forth, but everybody was kind of chalking it up to Tua.
Yeah.
Because when Tua started the first 8 games, they went 8-0. Well, his first 8 games starting, they were 8-0.
The reason they didn't use ESPN Daily Wager and just change it from there, 350 followers on the ESPN Daily Wager account.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if that was an official account. It's just the only ESPN Daily Wager, and I feel like if you're bold enough to
Does
use
it
the
have a check?
ESPN name,
Does it have a check on
yeah,
it?
it's got the link to
Hey, Tom, you want some
ESPN.com.
breaking news?
What's that?
Garrett Cole won the AL Cy Young.
Good for him.
I really didn't even look statistically to see all who was in the running for what.
I know nothing about.
So yeah, we were good on saying the Bills
Baseball
were
stats.
being
And Blake
overrated
Snell
for what
won
they
it
are.
in the NL. Just to let you
Really
know.
good for him. I was gonna say because he's been terrible the past few years, so good for him.
Did you guys see what happened to Van Der Esch? Leighton Van Der Esch?
No,
Wait, what?
So he got injured last week. I
I
saw
try not
this.
to pay attention to the Cowboys.
I saw it
as
yesterday.
much as possible.
He gets injured all the time.
But his career might be over.
Oh, really?
It's like it's a neck injury. So
Ooh.
that's why I'm bringing it up.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say he's had a few neck injuries,
Yeah.
and that's why he wears the horse collar. Anyways,
Yep.
Which to me, those just look cool. I like.
They do look pretty cool.
Tom's just like, no, I don't like it. But I'm telling you, like when Zach Thomas.
It's gotta be-
of
it's
the
gotta be on the right
Dolphins,
person.
like,
True.
it's gotta
Well,
be
you
on
know
the
who I'm
right
talking
person.
about, Zach Thomas, right? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Does-
no. And do you want to know? I'll throw out the name here. And Dana Palmer in high school
Okay.
wore the neck roll or wore the big old cow. Dang it! Wore the big old cowboy collar, and that was the only time that I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that adds up.
I feel like Max Crosby could pull out the neck roll
He
or
could, but
more.
guys don't like it. It really limits. It limits the
imagine.
mobility of the neck.
You can't. Plus, you can't see everything. But he could pull out. He
I
could
guess
pull it
that's
off.
why middle linebackers just wear them and stuff then, because you're just looking right.
And not many of them. I mean, I don't think many of them do these
No,
days.
you
I
don't
was
see
gonna say,
many of
I
them.
think Van Der Esch might be the only one that's rocking them in this day and age.
And he is. I don't think he's worn it his whole career either.
Well, he probably just started wearing it because of other neck
I think
injuries,
I think it
people
was
say.
after he came back from his first neck injury, but I don't know. I'm not a Cowboy fan.
I'm not a doctor either.
No meteorologist.
Cow?
Let's see what
Rocket
else
Horn.
happened
Probably
this
be
week.
good,
Ooh,
dude.
Texans shocked the Bengals. That was one that I didn't have on looking at all the games. There was Texans taking
Yeah.
it from the Bengals.
Stroud's good.
Stroud looks really good.
A lot of people say he's an MVP candidate. How do you guys feel about that? He only has one turnover. Turnover, I think. One interception, but I don't think he has. Probably might have had a fumble. Or
There was
two.
a piece of me that was like, I don't know how I feel about giving that to a rookie when you can give him the
Rookie.
the
Why not
rookie
both?
of the year. You very well can. I think they have to make playoffs if that's going to happen.
That's
which
fair.
I believe they're a contender right now to make playoffs, especially with the defense looking as good as it does. That defense is scary.
What's their record right now?
5-4.
Yeah.
But which division are they in?
The Jags and the Titans.
NFC South.
In a very
or
split.
AFC South.
Yeah, very split AFC South right now. So who knows what's going to happen there? But I think that it's deservingly so when you talk about the definition of the award. Is this team even close to 500?
Well, Barry Sanders.
What do you mean?
The Lions wouldn't make the playoffs
and that's where it's
different because Barry
looking
Sanders
at
is
how
a goat.
the NBA awards the MVP versus where it's who has the best stat line throughout the year versus okay, if I was to remove this particular person off of this team.
No, that's entirely.
And that's where I get my idea of value.
I think
this is the most valuable person. If I was to take him away from this team, they're not where they are.
I think you have it the opposite, honestly, personally, because I
Really?
think each individual person is so much more important to a basketball team that you will not see a guy win MVP if they don't make the playoffs. That's not a thing. Just because one guy, like you have 12 to 15 guys that may touch the floor a night, like that one person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with football, like Barry
But you don't
Sanders
have
is a
to-
good
you-
example.
So you can be on a playoff team but not a contender. Where I think about James Harden, when he was with Houston, they weren't ever.
They were contenders.
They were contenders.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
that
they
they
had,
were
like,
just
what,
had really
Chris
good
Paul
offense,
and
didn't have
stuff, yeah.
any good defense.
A lot of people in the league, a lot of smart people around the league throughout that series with the Warriors thought that the Rockets were going to win. And they were
That's
built.
right. I mean, looking
they were,
back on it, it's easy to say that was a terrible bet.
No,
but
they choked. They should have beat the Warriors. You can look at it because I'm assuming you didn't watch it, which is
No.
totally fine. But they should have beat the Warriors, and they were built to beat the Warriors. They even said it. They said we built this roster to having so many defensive players to stop the Warriors' offense so we can beat them, and they should have. And James Harden is trash down the stretch like
I
always.
was gonna say, 0-5 now.
Yeah.
When he's with the Clippers.
Yeah, he's just
yeah, no, they were 65-17 the year they.
they were
Yeah,
very
they were
good.
He
very
won
good.
the MVP.
But I think the closest one might have been Wes. I think, I'm pretty sure they were like a 7-8 seed when he won.
Well, and that's where I'm saying.
But he also averaged a
I
triple
agree
double.
though. Where I don't know if an NFL MVP has, like I think in both situations you have to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
Like it would be.
It's more
if I was
required,
going
I
to say
feel, for
that
the
one
NBA.
one or the other was going to award it more off of less off of winning. That's where I feel like it's just, and that's just because I feel like if you're gonna have an MVP candidate, usually you are in playoffs 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
And that's
you're
just
the
because
most valuable player, not
you
the
can't
best
be
player.
you can't be
Right.
valued. I mean, you can't be. How valuable are you if you didn't help your team? If you didn't get to playoffs?
I agree completely.
So that's kind of would
a good
be
point.
my point with the value statement is where I'm not disagreeing with you there. You have to at least make playoffs, but then it's
So you think the Texans are gonna make the playoffs? Put you on the spot.
I would have to
Look at their schedule.
if I was giving you a snap and answer right now, yeah.
What do you think before we look at the schedule?
But if I was just snap answer, not doing
I'm
any
gonna say
research
no.
into it,
I agree with you.
I was gonna say I'm gonna
No,
say yes, and I'm gonna say
Because I know the Jags are doing good in that division. And
they have not been looking great.
They could potentially win a lot of games.
They could potentially win a lot of games, but looking back at the games that they've lost, they could have potentially won a lot of those games.
There's only 7 seeds.
They've got the Cardinals, the Jags, the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans, the Colts. They could potentially only lose 2 to 3 games for the rest of the year.
Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
I think they could lose to the Jaguars. They could possibly lose the Broncos, but that would be a tough one. But the Broncos have been looking good
Of late, yes.
as of late. That's what I mean. They could beat the Titans. They could beat the Titans again.
But the Titans, I feel
They
like
could beat the Browns, but that would be a tough one.
the
If the-
division.
if it was
did
the
you
end
see
of the day,
Deshaun
they're in.
Watson's out for the rest of the year?
Yes. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. But their defense, though.
Their
Well, that's the thing.
defense
CJ Stroud's been taking care of the ball, though.
Yeah, he's only 1 interception,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
but before you say that, you know that they're gonna go 1-1 against the Titans because it's a division
True.
rival. That's always how that works.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point. But
Who
they,
do-
if
but
they
who do
don't,
the Jags have coming up?
who do the Jags have?
I'll
Mhm.
pull it up. You
what's
can
the
keep on that
Jags'
one.
record? Aren't
The
they?
6-3.
Yeah.
They're one game ahead of Houston. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like
I
it's
just
only
still-
one game.
Yeah, but then you also have a 5-5 team and a 3-6 team, though.
But that's where if I was to look at
Like,
if I was
every
looking
division's
at,
so close
looking
right
at this
now.
division before the year, I think all of us had the Jags taking this division pretty handily.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
we
I
did.
said
So
it.
we all
Yeah.
so to say that a team is one game back and let alone a couple teams, is Tennessee 5-4?
No, they're 3-6.
3-6.
Yeah.
Are they at the basement?
Yeah,
Who
Yeah.
rounds out the division?
pretty sure that.
The Colts.
Yeah, and they're overachieving for what they've had to be able to play this year. Jag schedule.
Like I said, I just
Jags play the Titans coming up this week, and like you said,
you're gonna go
they
1-1.
1-1. So I
Yep.
believe they beat Tennessee last time.
No, they don't play Tennessee. They play Tennessee twice.
Oh, coming up.
Yeah, they play in
Gotcha,
week
so they'll go
16 and
1-1 there.
14.
And did they beat the Texans early? Nope,
Oh,
the
wait,
Texans
you were
got
talking about the Jags?
I'm talking about the Jags.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Texans.
No, the Jags have the Titans coming up twice as well.
Oh, okay. Dang. Titans have a hard finish. Let's look at their schedule. That's a tough
I
finish.
just called it. I said the Titans are just too old.
So you got Titans, you got
Oh, yeah.
Texans, and then you got the Bengals, you got the Browns,
Ooh.
you got the Ravens, you got the Bucks,
Oof.
and then you got Panthers, Titans. So I think you got three, and I guess you could
This is
even
a
go.
tough schedule.
You could even go four hard games coming up for the Jags, because you've got Tennessee twice, beating them twice. That's tough. So I'm giving one of those two games a tough game.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you're going to lose these tough games either, but you
I
got
think the Titans might
Tennessee,
only win 2 more games for the rest of the year.
you got the Ravens, the Browns,
The Ravens haven't been looking hot in the fourth quarter. If they keep it close,
and the Bengals. Agreed.
Lamar
Agreed.
Jackson hasn't been looking hot.
That's
in the
and
fourth
that's what I'm
quarter.
saying. They could win. I could even give them 2 of those tough 4 games. So give them 2 more losses on their
and they already
schedule.
have a 1-game lead over the Texans. Like so.
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
Just-
so that's where but it's
I
it's
still
the
think the
head-to-head with the
Jags
Tennessee.
is,
They need to split with the Texans next week. That'll be so. If the Texans can take 2 from Jacksonville, that is
You still think
massive for
Jacksonville's
the
got
division.
the division?
I still think Jacksonville's got the division.
I do too.
And like I said, there's only 7 teams that can make it, and I just still
And
feel
4
like
of them might be from one division.
What, the AFC North?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean?
I don't.
That's just going
I
to make it
can't
tough
give
for
to
every other
Jags.
division
Yeah.
to even get 2 in.
Put me on the record. I'm taking the Texans as of today to win that division.
To
Okay.
win it, okay.
I do. I don't like the Jags to win the division.
I do.
I do as well.
They were so good early in the year. They beat a tough Cowboy team. They beat a really good. They dominated a really good Detroit team.
Didn't they get destroyed last week? Who did the?
You talking about the
Oh,
Jags?
this is all preseason.
Yeah, the Jags.
This is preseason. Sorry, I scrolled up too far.
I was going to say, I thought they
beat
started out
the
slow.
Colts by 10. They hung with the Chiefs. Blown out by the Texans. Blew out. 2-score game.
They
would
started
be-
out slow and have
with
been
the
playing great
Falcons.
since, though.
Beat the Bills, who,
Except for the
looking back on
49ers.
it, isn't that impressive of a win.
Who?
Who'd
At
they
Buffalo,
play
they beat
last
the
week,
Bills.
I still think that's an impressive win. I mean, the Bills have 5 of their losses have been one possession, and
They did their job and took care of business.
for
against
6
the Colts.
straight
Oh, San
games,
Fran,
the
that's who
Bills.
they played. They got destroyed by San
Yeah,
Fran
last week.
Which,
But I mean,
And
it's
then-
San Fran.
yeah.
And then you got they beat the Saints, which are very up and down, but it was at the Saints, so that's, I'll give
It's always a
a
little tougher.
win in
hey,
New
you
Orleans
never
is a
know. The
big
Saints
win.
might be throwing bricks at them. So
A win, and then a win in Pittsburgh. That's another big
Yeah.
win. And destroyed by the 49ers here, so that I feel like they're just so wishy-washy where
I feel like they started out slow, caught a wave, and are playing well, and then went up against debatably the best team in the league, who has dumpster dove 3 different teams already.
that's right. I just feel like they're
One of them being the Cowboys,
Yeah.
another one being the Steelers, who have a very good defense.
I was thinking there was a 3-game slide in there where there was the Chiefs Texans, and I was thinking they had a 3-game loss and started to pick it back up.
Because
but
the Niners 30
I
to
like.
7,
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna
You're
take
gonna
the
take it?
Texans.
30 to
I like
23,
the
Put your money
30
where
to
the mouth
12.
is?
They
You gonna
just
make a bet,
blow
right?
so many
I'll
teams
see
out.
if I can get a futures
go.
bet in. I will.
Get a future bet.
Yeah, they're just good, dude.
So Tom,
They lost 2 in a row, but still the games they've won have been convincing.
are you gonna do your would you rather have?
Ooh,
Oh, we
that's
didn't-
right. I didn't even. I gotta.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Would you rather have Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud right now?
No, it's
No, what?
That's actually a really good one, actually.
Yeah, because you're pretty pro on the Texans, and we're pretty pro on the Jaguars. I think I know our answers.
Well, actually,
I think you got more upside with CJ.
is it just a 1 year?
No.
No,
rest of his career.
taking him for a dynasty.
career?
Yeah, that's right. I think I'm taking CJ.
For the career, for this year, I would go Stroud. For career, I would go Lawrence.
I'm going Lawrence career as well.
I'm taking, I think CJ career-wise.
I think the first 2 years of Trevor Lawrence's career, the Jaguars may have been the worst team I've ever watched in my entire life around him.
And can we also?
But not him. Because we're seeing him play much better now.
And before you, and there's usually a sophomore slump, so you're going to have Stroud next year when all these teams
True.
have tape on him
Yep.
to see what he does.
Mhm.
You're telling me next year he's only going to have one interception? No, I feel like they'll have a few different defensive schemes and he'll be throwing a little more picks. Where Trevor Lawrence, we've kind of now
When they
been
got
in the
new
league for 3
coaches
years.
and OCs and finally started getting players, Trevor Lawrence went from a bottom 5 to a top 10, statistically.
Statistically, yeah. I will say this, though.
So that's why I think his first year and a half to 2 years, it's really hard to use because his team was so bad. And look at his coach. His coach lasted, 4 games 1 year?
Yeah, Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Who's the stud on the Texans?
Huh?
Who's the stud on the Texans that, are these guys that are really good? Because the only guy he's got is another rookie. That's his main target, is CJ. That would be my argument to that is you're saying that we can't use Trevor's rookie year stats against him because everybody was terrible around him.
Yeah, his team was worse than the Texans right now. The team
I'm not
around him was
arguing that,
worse.
but I'm saying who are the studs that weren't there last year, because the Texans were awful last year, that are there this year that are making that team so much better besides CJ? That would be just my counter question to you.
I guess you could realistically say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, his team.
ETN came and he got good.
ETN also had
you
this
think
torn
ETN is the
ACL.
only
I'm
He's
saying
Very
I
first
can
year.
name a person though. That's what I'm saying. I can where
Well, yeah, you can name a lot of people in Jacksonville now
that
because they went.
came and made.
But you think
that
ETN
got-
is that good to be like, yeah, he's their guy?
I think that
I think he's above average.
I think that ETN is very slept on in the NFL
Okay, that's
because
fair.
he's one of the better receiving backs and he's a 3-down back. You're leaving him in there you can leave him in on 3rd and long. He can pass block for you. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He runs like a wide receiver after he has
So
the
yes,
ball.
you think he's that guy for him.
I think that he's
Which is fair.
I would
ETN's
take
very
him.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like I
to
said,
throw a would you rather back at you at this point in their careers right now, would you rather have Saquon Barkley or ETN?
ETN, because Saquon Barkley's getting
Used and
paid way
abused.
too much.
I thought
And
I
used
thought
and
that
abused.
I was seeing
Yeah.
how much you hated ETN
Yeah.
with that. But that's where
No, I don't hate ETN. I think he's above average running back. I don't know if I'd put him in like a top 10.
I think he's doing when Leonard
He
Fournette
probably could
was
crack
there,
my top 10.
and it was it
'Cause it's
was a
tough right now.
run-based offense only because you had Blaine Gabbert spinning the rock.
Yeah.
I think by far I would say I wouldn't say by far. I'd say it's really close. I would say I would take the old school Leonard Fournette as a Jacksonville Jaguar and put him back on that team, or do I stick with ETN? And I think ETN just offers you so much more. So
Yeah,
that's
that was
where
kind
I'm
of an
trying to
out of
think
the
a
left
really
field.
good. Well, that's right. I'm just trying to think of the last really good Jacksonville Jaguars back.
Oh, okay.
Where how could you as a Jags fan say that you don't want that guy in your backfield?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't want him, but I'm just saying I don't think the Jaguars
Marcus
team.
Jones-Drew, right? Didn't he play for the Jags?
But I think Leonard Fournette was after, though.
Yeah, he was after, but I'm just thinking of other great running backs.
Maurice
that they-
Jones-Drew, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that would have been. Was that after? Or was that?
No, he was before
he
Leonard
was
Fournette.
Yeah, he was
before.
before. Okay,
Leonard Fournette.
that's right. I thought you said after.
No, I said before.
No, not you.
Leonard
I thought
Fournette's
Mike
still
you
in the
said
league.
after.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette's still in the league.
No, but
Like I said,
well
I'm
past his
just-
prime. Is
just-
he signed with the team? Did
Yeah, he
sign
signed with the
somebody?
Bills. What, last week? Remember,
Oh,
you didn't
yeah, I
see
saw
the pictures going around of his thighs?
pictures
Yeah.
of that, yeah.
Where it literally looked like someone's arm
That
was
is
attached
scary.
to the bottom of his cheek.
Like I said, it's just tough to go with a rookie where teams. We haven't seen him with teams having full film on him, like a whole.
That's also a
The
really
growth?
good point.
I think
Like Trevor Lawrence is.
you guys are going to be disappointed in Trevor Lawrence this year.
Oh yeah, I know. He's only averaging like 1 touchdown a game.
I mean, just numbers-wise, it seems like a regression where first year to sophomore year was 12 TDs to 25 TDs, 17 picks his first year to 8 picks his second year. So you see the growth.
Yep.
And you expect that from a guy, especially when the year was 17 picks to 12 TDs. That is not a pretty year.
How long's he had as coach?
I don't know.
It was like halfway through last year.
He kicked that kicker and he got fired.
Let me see. So then we're taking that and 25-8. That's a solid year. 4,000 passing yards. This year he's at, and we're 9 games through, so we're over halfway through.
Yep.
He is halfway to the passing yards, or just over halfway the passing yards, and we're just over halfway. So passing yards are going to be pretty comparable. Completion percentage is up 1%.
To what? To
from
what?
63. From this is from sophomore year to this year now. To current year now. He's
Junior year.
66.3% last year. He is 67.3% this year.
Completely content with that.
No, that is not. I'm
That's
not
good.
saying that's bad at all. That's probably I would say it's very NFL
And I know
average.
the touchdowns you're about to say are down, and that's
Touchdowns are down.
They're running the ball more because, like you said, ETN.
Agreed. And that's where.
And they even drafted that Tank Bigsby guy too. So.
Yeah.
But then to play devil's advocate, they also got Calvin Ridley, so you would think get a little more passing with him.
Sacks are up
yeah,
this year
but
as
that's
well.
such a question mark, though.
He's going to be sacked the most he ever has this year. That's
So he's
that's
putting up
impressive.
He's
to
putting
say.
up almost the same amount of stats at the midway point.
with more sacks.
With
so
more, with less protection.
less protect. I don't know about less protection. I would have to see who they've added onto their line. Because then sacks is a big thing that you can put on an O-line, but you can also put it on a quarterback holding the
How
ball.
many
too
times has he
long.
been sacked, though?
He's been sacked 24 times this
How many
year.
times
Last year, 27 times.
No shot he's gotten sacked.
Unless
no,
that's
let
a
me go
sack.
what I'm going to say.
I was saying,
There's
unless
no,
it's a sack.
I believe the stats.
Yeah.
There's no shot he's added that much sacks just holding onto the ball.
Let me see.
You know what I'm saying? There's
do.
no shot he's hit almost the exact amount of last year this year
it
just
really
as he's holding
should
the
be
ball.
like 3 or 4 times where
last
you're just
year,
like, oh,
yeah.
he held on to it like
5 and
Maybe
4.
once a game. You know what
No,
I mean?
agree. I agree with you there, where there is some on there, but I'm saying it's probably a little bit of both.
It might be, but his line, I
Like,
think we can agree,
because-
is not as good.
And my argument, just to prove that is I'm not saying it's the case here, but that is an example in football. Shedeur Sanders and the Colorado football team.
Yeah.
He has an abundant of sacks. I don't know it off the top of my head. The amount of times that I've seen him scramble in the backfield I'm talking run out of the pocket, not even just chilling in the
I'm going to
pocket.
be honest, though. We're talking
10
about a guy
seconds.
who's not going to be an NFL quarterback, though. So that's kind of a bad comparable.
I think a lot of the analysts that you were praising earlier differ with you there. I agree with you there that I don't think he's an NFL quarterback guy. I don't think the decision making's there.
No.
But
he's still young though. And he can
Hell of an athlete, and he is
what do you
good.
mean? Dion, and they're going to get taken, and it's going to be a LeVar situation in
Yeah.
the NFL. That's my prediction for that.
I hope
But
he works out.
Did you see Dion proclaimed that both of his
They're
sons,
gonna declare-
Shedeur and I can't remember. I think is it Dion Jr.?
No, I don't think so.
It's the one that plays
he's on
DB,
defense.
wears 21. They will both be declaring next year for the draft. So that was a statement made by him. And and I may be wrong, is there that's got to be the stat, right? Sack?
Sack?
Yeah.
S-A-C-K. That's 24. So
How many times has
his
Stroud been?
passing rating's down this year too. 89. I don't read too much into that. I'm not a big passer rating guy.
Yeah, because it's so heavily
I don't
focused
like
on
it.
touchdowns too.
Yeah, I don't like it. QBR down.
How many
And
times?
I don't like
has,
QBR either, but it's down a point.
How many times has Stroud been sacked?
That is a great question.
Just curious.
That was a good off the top of your head though. And this will be one that when we're looking back 2-3 years from now,
Mikey and I will be right.
this will be a pull up the clip. This will be a pull up the clip
For
and,
one of us.
and show up the
Yeah.
stats because we can look at 3 years into CJ's career, where is he at? Statistically,
Yeah.
Like I said,
accolades. Has he made a playoff?
just for me, it's just tough to take a rookie where. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree. There's a lot unproven.
That's why I'm saying, like, if you were told me this year, yes, but if you're talking about a career that,
And that's
we've
where
already
I'm
seen
willing to
Lawrence
give- That was
now
a
in
good
the league
answer,
for
too.
3 years. like-
Agreed. And I'll take that point where I'm willing to gamble on CJ at this point based on what I've seen this year, because what he's shown me this year is better than anything anything that Trevor has shown me during his 3 years.
I thought you just said Trevor was pretty good last year.
Trevor, pretty good.
I thought he was a top 5 guy last year.
Did he have has Trevor had a 6 TD game?
True. I will give.
That's
give
where
you that.
that's
Will
a game
Levis,
that's all throwing.
Will Levis is one of 3 people to ever throw 4 touchdowns in his first game. 2 of those 3 people ended up to not have. Well, one of the 3 didn't really have a very good career. Marcus Mariota. Will Levis may not have a great career. One of those 3 guys had a Hall of Fame career. Just because you can. Another guy threw 7 touchdowns. Nick Foles. He won a Super Bowl, but let's be honest, that team was stacked. And Wentz would have won a Super Bowl with that team. A lot of quarterbacks could have won a Super Bowl with that team.
another
But he
person-
also threw 7 touchdowns in a game.
Pretty sure Matt Flynn of the Packers that one time. Yeah.
Yes,
Same
Matt
thing.
Flynn did as well. I
Made
mean,
a-
just because you have one, the
Paid
Dolphins
him millions of dollars when he went to Seattle and got beat out by Russell Wilson.
and the Dolphins scored 70 this year on a team, but we're
Yep.
talking about how they're a little
Agreed,
overrated.
2 is in
So
there.
sometimes just one game.
2 is in there. Agreed.
Tua's in
I'm agreed with you there, but I'm saying we're listing off all these guys that have. Trevor has not. Can we agree on that? That Trevor
How
has
many
not thrown
touchdowns?
6.
Ben
I'll even
Roethlisberger
go to 5.
hasn't. I think he's only
That's
scored.
right.
I think
Tom
he's only
Brady.
thrown
Tom
5.
Brady's thrown 6. That's Tom Brady's max as well.
I
But
think,
there are a handful of guys that I have no clue who they are. That
I
have
think
thrown
Ben's
7.
only thrown 5.
Sid Luck. Oh, hold on. Outside of in the 20. Okay, that's actually okay. So in the. That is actually going to make a great point for me. Since 1969, Joe Knapp, that was the last person to do it. 1969, there have been 3 people that have thrown 7 TDs in a game. Peyton Manning,
Oh, Ben had 6.
Nick Foles, Drew Brees.
Oh wow.
3 Super Bowl winners. 6 gets a little crowded there
Yeah,
for us.
because like I said, I'm
But
pretty
that's
sure
really-
like Matt Flynn,
And this isn't
Aaron
even up to date
Rodgers-
because they don't have CJ on there. I'm pretty sure it was 6, wasn't it?
6. Yeah.
I think it was 6 that he threw.
Pretty
But
He,
he had,
he threw for like, what, 480 or something crazy?
yeah,
like
no, he
that?
broke the record for
Rookie.
the rookie passing yards in a game, which was Andrew Luck's. Which that it's just such a hard comparison because where would Andrew Luck be? Where would the Colts be? Is such a great
Yeah.
question that I
They wouldn't
love
have Richardson.
asking. But the name that's really gonna hurt this one, Mitchell Trubisky did it against the Buccaneers in 2018.
He's still in the league. He's a backup.
But you got Eli Manning, Fitzpatrick, Aaron Rodgers. Who did Fitzpatrick do it with? Fitzpatrick did it with the Texans. That's awesome.
Matt Flynn.
Rodgers, Roethlisberger twice.
Is it Matt Flynn?
Rodgers twice.
See, I
Matt
thought he had
Flynn
2
is on there.
Yeah,
fives.
I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty big. Yeah, this is just listing off everybody that's.
I just feel like
But yeah, not on there.
I'm hoping that this is one of those would you rather where it's just like both aren't really like
No,
a
he threw
terrible
5. He threw
answer.
5. I don't say I knew he didn't throw 6. He threw 5 against Tampa.
Stroud, yeah, no, it was 5 against.
Oh,
Tampa.
you already said that? My bad.
No, I didn't. That's where I was like, oh, they must not be up to date. I thought it was 6, and that's why I asked, was it 6? And Joe thought it was. I thought it was
wasn't
6
sure.
too.
Well, I'm just
I knew he
hoping
threw
that
for like 480 though. Sorry.
we look back and we go, oh, neither one is really a bad answer because I know a few years ago, Mikey, you and I, we were like, I think like at the end zone, and someone said like, who would you rather have was like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, and we both that was like Lamar's MVP year, and I think I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl that year, and it just was kind of like it couldn't really go wrong
Yeah,
with
split
whichever.
hair. Well, I mean, I still think it can. I'm still taking Mahomes any day of the week over Lamar.
That's where I think that looking at it right now,
Lamar.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars team, on paper, looks much better to me. Even looking outside of take away the quarterback position,
right.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars team looks much better to me than the Texans team.
Yeah.
And what CJ's been able to show me this year, and I think it's been fast growth. Like he didn't look great early in the year. Like
he was
the
1-1 his
weeks,
first game, and then he was 5-0.
yeah, but even in the win, I want to say
And then
it wasn't
0.
a pretty like it was a run dominant win for them.
He's got 2 interceptions. We were wrong, boys.
Oh, he's got
No, wait,
two
wait.
now?
Wait, what the heck?
I know for the
Trevor
longest time
Lawrence
he
has
had
No,
one
yeah, he's got
time where
2.
he's thrown 4 TDs in a game.
I just feel like there's just when it's your rookie year and stuff, it's just tough because there's so many people that look good their rookie year and then all of a sudden they get
Agreed.
to that second.
Oh, agree, and that's
Yeah.
where I agree. I agree 100% that I'm taking taking
you
a
just
gamble.
mentioned Mitch Trubisky. He looked great the rookie
Yeah.
year, and then that was his best
Did he
year.
look
Carson
good his
Wentz.
rookie year?
I mean, he got hurt his second year, but it's not his fault.
Wentz has to be in. I don't think Wentz is a bad guy. I think the system in Philly's right for him. He just couldn't stay healthy in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where it's a mobile system, and it's a different mobile than the mobile he is. Where you need a guy that is going to stay healthy, a Jalen Hurts that's going to avoid contact, but also take it on and be smart about it, rather than a Carson Wentz that
like
sees the linebacker is
Tebow.
going to run. Yeah, it's a better passing Tim Tebow.
Just to throw another guy, and I know it was injuries, but RG3 had an
Yeah.
incredible rookie year. Again, I know it was more of injuries that kind of derailed it, but again, that might be another thing where all suddenly, Stroud's like hurt next year or has career-ending injury.
Yeah, God forbid.
There is no debate because unfortunately,
I mean, 15-2. That's hard to argue with for your rookie year.
It is hard to argue with.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. But like I said, I want to see what happens next year when people get game film on him.
Yeah,
Agreed. The next year, and this will be
That's a
looking
big
back on
reason.
it. We'll answer this would you rather. So I'm excited that we will get a
Yeah.
maybe you know what, 3 years from now, we'll do another would you rather, C.J. Stroud or Trevor Lawrence, and see if our answers have changed at that point. See what they look like there. C.J. will have 3 years in the league. We'll get to look at it comparatively to
All we know is
Lawrence's 3 years.
At least one person will be wrong here.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe two. But
two.
at least one. And that's all the time we have on this week's Talkin Athletics with MTJ. I'm your host, Mike Papa. Joseph, back from business. Tom, killing it on business. Just three guys talking in the basement about sports, just doing what we love. Thanks for coming in. We hope you see you next time. Thanks for coming this time. Hope you enjoyed the stay. See you later.